All right, everybody, we are live. Hi, welcome. I am Margie Remmers Davis with Fast and Easy QBO, and I am so excited to be here today to share my far and away most popular topic, which is everything you ever wanted to know about QuickBooks Online ProAdvisor certification. It's a long title and it's going to be a long live stream, so buckle up, grab your drinks, go to the bathroom, do whatever you need to do, because we are going to be here for a while as I open up my brain and dump everything on you. So everything you ever wanted to know. Now, it's like I said, it's going to be a lot. So you want to make sure and grab our workbook. It's not a workbook, an ebook that will cover everything that I'm talking about. It is titled, guess what? Everything you ever wanted to know about QuickBooks Online ProAdvisor certification. The link is in the description, so you can grab that document. You don't have to worry about taking notes today because everything that I'm going to say is in there. All of the links that you need is in there. All of the instructions you need are in there. So grab that document in the description. So with that, I am going to pull up our slideshow. All right. So, as I mentioned, I'm Margie Remmers Davis. I'm the creator of the Fast and Easy Way to QuickBooks Online ProAdvisor certification. At this point, I have trained thousands of people to help them get their ProAdvisor certification. And I have there are so many questions that people ask that I like to do this once a year, get together, answer them all at once. Please hold on to your questions until the end. I will stay on until all questions are answered. But I'm pretty sure that I am going to knock out all of your questions as I go throughout the presentation. So hold on to the questions and let's see if they get answered. All right, so let's head on to our first question. So the first question people always want to know is ProAdvisor certification worth it? And the reason that people are usually asking this question is because they are going through Intuit's free training and they are struggling. So like Tiffany said, I tried using the free training that QuickBooks provides over a month ago, and I stopped because I was so overwhelmed and the flow of teaching just didn't work for me and my style of learning. Or they are like Kimberly, who said, I became bogged down with tons of information and was overwhelmed. I spent many hours trying to learn and was unsure of what to do or how to move forward. And then finally, just yesterday, Priscilla posted, I'm struggling with staying focused while going through the course on QBO. It's just so boring. I cannot and do not learn that way. I'm a visual and auditory learner. I space out reading all the sections on QBO, and I have had to reread many sections because I don't even understand what I read. So all of these people, they try and go and do the ProAdvisor training. They get overwhelmed and frustrated, and they say, is it even worth it? Do I even want to pursue this certification because it's such a pain? And of course, you know what I'm going to say. The answer is yes, of course, yes. So let's talk about why you really want to buckle down and get that certification, how it's going to benefit you to have that. So first of all, and this might be a little bit more obvious, is that by going through the training, you're going to learn the ins and outs of QuickBooks Online. Now, there is really something to be said about on-the-job training, because on-the-job training is great, and you're going to learn things that, you're going to have to handle situations that you might not otherwise have to handle. And so you're going to learn a lot just by doing that, right? But here's the thing, is that when you go through the training, you learn all that comprehensive stuff, then you know what's available in QuickBooks Online. And because you know what's available, you might learn about features that you didn't otherwise know, and you might have a client who needs that feature. So I know for me, I went through all of the training. I forced myself into the advanced training right after I got the basic training. And I was so glad I did, because my very first client needed a feature that I only would have learned about if I'd gone that extra step and done the advanced training. So you learn more, you know all about the features, even if you don't remember them, even if you have to go back and, refresh them, at least you know that they're out there. And because of that, you can charge more for your services. You're more valuable as a pro advisor, having gone through all of this training. So that one's a little bit more obvious. So let's talk about the maybe less obvious things about getting that pro advisor certification. So the next thing is, it's going to give you bragging rights. Okay. So when you get your ProAdvisor certification, you're going to get a badge and you're going to get that status, and you can put it everywhere. You can put it as your signature in your email. I can't tell you how many people have just seen my signature and said, "Hey, can I ask you some questions about QuickBooks Online?" You can put it on your website. You can put it on your business cards if anybody's using business cards anymore, right? So in fact, I know one bookkeeper who she had not started her business at all. All she had done was she got her ProAdvisor certification, and the very next day she went to a speed networking thing, and she didn't feel comfortable introducing herself by saying she was a bookkeeper because she didn't have any clients, but she felt she had just passed that test. She had just gotten that certification. And so she was able to say, well, I'm a QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor. And she got her very first client from that meeting. Okay. So all she did was say, I'm a QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor. Here's the thing, is that QuickBooks Online is world renowned. Like, everybody knows what that is. Everybody has heard of it. Everybody, whether they use it or not, they know QuickBooks Online. And so if you can say, I'm a QuickBooks Online Pro Advisor, then that's going to be super, super beneficial to you. All right, so you learn the ins and outs, gives you bragging rights. And then the third thing is that gets you listed in their ProAdvisor directory, so you can collect reviews and show off. So you can show off, and then Intuit will actually advertise your business for you. Okay, so let me show you what that means. So Intuit runs a website, which is Find an Accountant. There's a bunch of ways that you can get to it. So I'm just going to go in my Google search here and select Find a QBO Pro Advisor. You'll see that there are some paid ads there. And then right here, oops, my face is hiding it, but you can see hopefully, well, let me just hide my face. How can I do that? Is it this one? Let's see. Hold on. Let me see. I want you guys to see this. Turns out if I remove my face, then you also can't hear me. So that's not a good thing. Anyway, so right here it says, maybe I'll just scroll. There we go. Find a QuickBooks Pro Advisor. So it's the first one under the paid ads. And I don't know if you're like me, sometimes I don't actually want to click on the paid ads. So here we go. Find a QuickBooks Pro Advisor. And there's a bunch of terms that, you could search. Google or Intuit, makes it their business to be findable, right? So they're going to have all of that search engine optimization, right? They're going to do that. So they want you to be found too. So once you go in here, you're going to just type in, so the business owner is who's looking for a pro advisor, a QuickBooks Online professional, a bookkeeper, whatever. They're going to go in here and they're going to type in their zip code and they're going to click find a pro advisor. And then what's going to happen is boom, boom, boom. If you're in Utah, Salt Lake City, then you're going to find me. So here I am, and you'll notice that I am at the very top of the list. Why am I at the top of the list? Because I have my certifications. Now, first of all, you can't be on the list at all unless you have your basic level certifications. the more certifications you have, the higher certifications you have. So I have advanced here. I'm an advanced ProAdvisor, and I have my payroll one. That's going to bump you up in the list. Also, what's going to bump you up in the list is your reviews. So let me show you how you collect reviews. So here I am. I'm going to click on this. Here is my profile that I put on. Here are all of the reviews, and you can have people go on and write a review, and you can they can read all the reviews. They can read about how great you are, all because you have a ProAdvisor profile, and you have your badges. You're going to go out and collect reviews. And you're going to make your profile, something that people want to read and that they're attracted to. And then look at this, right from the profile, guys, people can send you a message. They can send you a message. They can say, hey, I'm looking for a bookkeeper. They can put their details in, and it captures the lead for you. It goes right into your inbox, and you can call them or email them right away to offer your services. So this is free, guys. This is all free. That as long as you pass that initial level certification, then you can get listed in this ProAdvisor directory. And this could be your website. Like, you don't even have to hire a web designer when you're first starting out. You can use this because it has everything you need in it. It has a place to collect reviews, has a place to strut your stuff, and it has a place to collect contact information. So super, super important that you get listed in that ProAdvisor directory. All right, so let's go back here. All right, so we've talked about, is ProAdvisor certification worth it? Hopefully I've convinced you enough that you should absolutely do what it takes to get at least that basic level certification. All right, so what are some other questions that people typically ask me? And I just realized I should turn on my comments so I could see. All right, I've got a bunch of people saying, hi, good afternoon. All right, excellent. All right, so I mentioned that it was free, right? So you might be wondering, how are you going to get your free account? And the way you do that is you go to proadvisor.intuit.com. So let me go back here. We're going to close. I'll just use this tab. I'm going to go to ProAdvisor. Don't forget, the links are in the description, and all of the instructions, that everything I'm walking you through is in that everything document. So make sure that you grab that. The link is in the description where you can grab our everything you ever wanted to know document. It has all of these links, all of these instructions. Okay. So here I went to proadvisor.intuit.com. And then right here, oh, you know what? I just realized I should turn on my cursor highlighter so you can see when I point to things. All right, so here we go. And I'm just going to click sign up for free. Sign up for free. We all love free, okay? So now you're going to be signing up for your free ProAdvisor account. And let me just tell you some quick tips about this account. Okay, so the first thing that it's going to ask you for is it's going to ask you for an email address. I want you to listen very carefully to me. Listen very carefully. Okay, you want to use an email address that is professional. If you're just starting out in your business, maybe you don't have like a business email address, that's fine. But you don't want to use something that you set up in junior high school that has, stupid words in it, like hot dog 99, something like that. The reason is because you are going to give this email address to your clients so that they can connect, so that you can connect your accounts. I'll explain what that means in a minute. But you're going to be giving away this email address. And so you don't want to be giving away hot dog 99 to your clients, right? You want it to be something professional, and changing this email address is difficult later on. Okay. Everything else I'm going to show you, you can change easily. The email address is a pain to change. And so you want to start off on the right foot and use a good email address. Okay. All right. So you're going to enter an email address, your first name, your last name, and then your, anyway, I'm not entering it right now for you, but, and then you want to enter a mobile number. Now, the reason that they're asking you for a mobile number is because they're going to use it for two-factor authentication, is that they're going to text you, and they're going to text you a code sometimes when you are trying to log in. They'll text you a code that you then have to put in to verify it's you. Just recently, like I would say within the last couple of months, I noticed it, that they now have the option to call you with the verification code, which is great because so many times people were having problems not getting the text to verify, and then it was a pain. So now you can have the number be calling to you. So so the mobile number, that any number will do. Now you'll notice that there is a country dropdown. Just so you're aware, I only work with ProAdvisors in the United States. I get a lot of people from other countries, especially Canada, wanting to work with me. I only work with ProAdvisors in the United States. Now, there are ProAdvisor programs in a handful of other countries. Not all of the countries listed here have ProAdvisor programs. So just be aware of that. And if you have any questions about international use, make sure that you reach out to Intuit directly. Okay. Then you're going to put in a password and you are going to continue. Now, the next screen, which I should have taken a snapshot of, but I didn't, is the next screen is asking your company name. Now, a lot of people freak out when they get to this screen and they're like, whoa, I'm just starting out. I don't have a company name. Don't worry about it. That can be changed at any time. It's not a big deal. Don't put in an email address that you don't want to use forever. But for the company name, you can change it anytime. It's not a big deal. They're also going to ask you your zip code. They're going to ask you also how many employees you have. Don't freak out about that. Just answer the best you can. It's all good. Okay. So now, once you have set up your account, it's going to look like this. You guys can see that, right? So you're going to have your free account like this. Now, this account is an accountant account, and you can tell because it says right here, accountant tools, and right here it says QB accountant. So what does that mean? What does it mean to be an accountant account? Let's go through that. Okay, let's get back to here. And so how is a QBOA account? So QBOA, meaning QuickBooks Online Accountant, how is that different than a regular QBO account that a business owner, for example, might get, and they actually have to pay for? They have to pay a subscription fee. All right. So first of all, so we have your accountant QBOA account, and then you have darn it, my picture's in the way. How can let's see, what if I do it? No, that's not good. How about this? Okay, let's do this picture. All right, so do we have our client QBO account? And so then what's going to happen is the client says, hey, Sally, bookkeeper, I would like you to work on my books. And so the client then adds you as the accountant to their books. And guess what they're going to use to do that? Your email address. That's why you don't want to use hotdog99 as your email address. You want to use a somewhat professional, or even if it's just your name, like email address. Okay. So they're going to add you as the accountant, and then you as the accountant are going to be able to look into their books. You're now going to be connected to them. And guess what? You can do this over and over and over and over, And that is how you build a successful practice, is that you are looking into all of the books for all of these different clients. And that's what a QBOA account is. All right, so I mentioned that the account is free. I also mentioned that there is free training. Let me get down a little bit. There's also free training. So how do we get to that? Well, let me go back into, add this one. Okay, so this is the account that I just set up. Actually, let me make this just a smidge bigger for you. Can you see that better? Okay. Looks like I need to turn my cursor on again. Okay. All right, now we're ready to roll. All right, so here I am in my free QuickBooks Online Accountant account. And I'm going to go to ProAdvisor on the left-hand side. I'm going to select Training. And it's going to take me to this training center. Now, this right here, oh, I forgot, it sometimes doesn't like my little highlighter. Okay, let me just park it right there. Okay, so right here, this Your Training Path section is new. So not everybody is going to see this Your Training Path tab. Some of you will only have these 3 tabs: product training, specialty courses, and certification. Okay, so we're not going to be talking about mine is training path. What you are looking for is the product training. So I'm going to click product training, and you'll notice that there are several different courses that they have available. Right here, QuickBooks Online, it says new training available. This just came out this week. I'm filming the first Saturday in November, and it just came out, I think, on Tuesday. So there's new training available. And there is self-paced training. So if I click self-paced, it will open up all of these modules for the different training. And there will be webinars. So you'll notice this first one, you can click to schedule a webinar. This is brand new. That's why they don't have any webinars scheduled yet. But eventually you will see like a little, one of these little icons here next to webinar. You'll be able to click that and you'll be able to attend a live webinar for this training. Now I say live, it's actually a recorded webinar, but they are live on the chat to be able to answer any questions. Okay. All right. So that's how you get to the training. You're going to go to self-paced. You're going to go through. This is the one you want for if you are trying to get that basic level certification, is this one right here. All right. So let me see what's next on our agenda here. All right. So when you are going through the training, then you are going to want to practice, right? So you want to practice what you're learning. And we do that in what's called the sample company. So the next question is, what is the sample company and how do I access it? So Intuit, and this is just really amazing, guys. I just think this is so amazing. Intuit provides a fully populated QBO account so that you can test drive and get a feel for how QBO works. Okay, so it's fully populated. That means there's customers in there, there's invoices in there, there's bank feeds in there, there's reports you can run. Okay, so it's fully populated. And there are 3 versions that you have at your fingertips that are available. The first is the QBOA version. Okay, so this is a version that allows you to look into a client's book as if you were the accountant. Okay, so you're looking into the sample company and you have all of the tools available to you as if you were looking at that client's books. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, I'm going to keep this, I'm going to hide this. Why was happening here? Okay, let's see. Let's make that not there. Then we're going to go back here And then we don't need that anymore. So we're going to go here. Okay. So here is a different QuickBooks Online accountant account that I'm in. And the way you're going to get to the sample company is you're going to click the gear icon in the upper right-hand corner. And then you're going to select sample company. Okay. So click sample company. And I want to point out this little error message, or not error message, warning, okay? It says, if you open a sample company, you'll be signed out of your current firm. Do you want to continue? Okay, this is going to be very important later, and we'll talk about it when we get there. For right now, we're just going to hit continue. And when I hit continue, it's going to open what is Craig's Design and Landscaping Services. So this is our client. Okay, so we're now the accountant. You can tell that you're in the accountant version because it says accountant tools right here. So so you're the accountant now looking into Craig's books, and there's all sorts of things that you can do. Like I said, it's fully functional. Okay. The other, how do I click around here? Let's see. Cursor. Okay, here we go. So so that's the QBO accountant account. Now there is also two client sample companies. There is one for QBO Plus, which is a subscription level for QuickBooks Online, and one for Advanced, which is a higher level QuickBooks Online version. All right, so how do you get to the client side? So the accountant version, that's you peering into their books as the accountant. Then there is the client side, that's what a business owner would see. So the way you're going to get to that is you're just going to Google it. You're just going to go to QBO test drive. Okay. And you're going to find test drive QuickBooks Online. And then right here, see, can you see that? So right here are the available, see, notice that these are United States test drives. I don't know anything about other countries, sorry. So here's the United States test drive. This one is Plus, and this one is Advanced. We'll just go into the Plus one there real quick. Maybe. I don't know what happened here. There we go. Maybe I can't do it. See, I've got to verify I'm not a robot. Oh, actually, I remembered I don't want to do this. Do I want to do this in this window? Yes. I have to keep track my things that I'm going to show you, all my different windows. I don't want to screw myself up because I spent a lot of time setting things up. All right, for those of you who are just joining us, there's a lot to cover, and everything that I've covered is available in what we call the everything document. Everything you ever wanted to know about QuickBooks Online ProAdvisor certification, snag that document. The link is in the description, and also Joel maybe have put it in the chat. Okay, anyway. So here we are. This is the client side, and you'll notice that there is no accountant tools up here. Okay, so this is how we know we're looking at the books as if the client is looking at the books. Okay, all right. So those are our sample companies. Oh, see what happened is because I opened up a different one. There, it disappeared, but that's okay. That's okay. We will survive. Now, how do I get over to this? All right. So that is the sample company. That's how you're going to practice what you're learning. All right. A couple of things to note about the sample company, the QBOA sample company especially. Guess what? You're going to get logged out of your QBOA account. That's what I was just saying. I was just saying you're going to get logged out of your QBOA account. And you saw that warning, right? It says, Hope, are you sure? You sure you really want to do this? You're going to get logged out. And this is really important to know because you do not want to do this during the test. if you load the sample company while you are taking the test, then you're going to lose your test. Okay, so it's super important that you don't do that. Now, there are ways around that, and we're going to talk later today in this ginormous video that we're working on, right? We're going to talk later today about using resources during the test, and one of them is the sample company. You have the ability to like look stuff up, and you should do that. So, so you don't want to just do it while you're taking the test. Instead, you can either use a different browser. So you notice what I was doing just now is I have Brave as I guess you can't see it anymore. I have a Brave browser that I use, and I use Chrome, and I'm a Mac girl, so I also have Safari. So if I'm using QuickBooks Online in a bunch of different things, that's what I'm going to do, because I don't want them to intermingle with each other. Now, that strategy is not recommended by Intuit. I don't know why, because to me, it seems cleaner. I don't know. But anyway, that is one way to do it. What they recommend is that you use an incognito or private window in the same browser. And they really do recommend that you do everything in Chrome, because that's where they do all of their testing. And so I think by saying this, it just allows you to stay in Chrome. So, all right, so that's it for that. There's a couple other things you need to know about the sample company. Oh, and when you get ready to take the test, make sure you know how to access the sample company and keep your test open at the same time. So you want to test this before you actually go take the exam. Okay, so make sure you know how to do it. I don't want anybody to like get halfway through the test, need the sample company, and then accidentally kick themselves out. So don't do that. Before you take the test, figure it out. Okay, figure it out. So you can either use different browsers, like I said, incognito window, whatever you're going to do. Just make sure you do it before you take the test. Okay. All right. Now, the sample company, I always call it a gift. It's a gift. And it's just so amazing to me that Intuit does this for us, that they have this. Like, they have, seriously, guys, they have put a lot of thought into that sample company. There's problems that you need to solve in the sample company. All of the data is there in the sample company. Like, it's just such a wonderful gift that we have this playground, this sandbox, to be able to test out what we're learning. But it's a gift, so we are at Intuit's mercy. And that means we need to be aware of a lot of things. Okay, so first of all, it's not designed to be comprehensive. Okay, so that means that there are going to be some features that you'll see in real life that aren't that way in the sample company. Okay, so there are going to be things that are going to be different or unavailable in the sample company, because honestly, the sample company is not their number one priority. Their number one priority is actual real life QuickBooks Online. So, so it's wonderful, but you just have to go in with your eyes wide open and know that it's not going to be perfect. Okay. Also, it's designed for beginners. So even if you have been using QuickBooks Online for years, you're going to have to close pop-ups, and sometimes it'll freeze and you'll have to refresh the screen. Sometimes you get like a weird like menu item that shouldn't be there. And just take a deep breath. Just be grateful that Intuit gives you this, and just work with it. Okay, work with it. Don't call and complain. Just work with it. Work with it. It's a gift, and we need to express our gratitude for it. All right. The other thing you need to know is that it will refresh when you log out or close the window. Closing the window sometimes refreshes it, sometimes doesn't. Maybe it has to do with cookies. I don't know why. I don't know why sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But definitely when you log out, it will completely refresh and you will lose everything you've been doing. And so you will not be able to save your work. And so if you like set up a new customer or you sent out a bunch of invoices, then if you go in the next day, that customer's not going to be there and those invoices aren't going to be there. Okay, so just know that you have to, in the sample company session, you want to make sure that you get everything that you need done. If you're doing exercises or test something out, I know I have a bunch of exercises that are all like linked together that you have to do in the same sample company. So just also be aware of that. All right, so next up, where else can I get hands-on practice? All right, so we have the sample company. That's our sandbox to be able to, play around and do the, and see how to like create a report, create an invoice, that kind of stuff. But if you're brand new, how do you know like what even you're supposed to do, right? Like you're just clicking, if you could just be clicking around, and I don't know how much you're going to learn that stuff. So wouldn't it be nice if you could be directed to specific things, that specific tasks that you need to accomplish and learn how to accomplish them? Well, one of the ways to do that is through something called ProAdvisor challenges. So let me share this screen again. All right, so we have, let me just make that bigger so you can see it. Okay, so here again, this is what we were looking at before. This is my ProAdvisor training section in my ProAdvisor account. Okay, I selected product training, so here's all the product training for your basic level QuickBooks Online ProAdvisor certification. Then what you want is this one that's called QuickBooks Online. Okay, so I'm opening that up, or I'm selecting self-paced. Okay, and inside the training, Intuit has given you what are called ProAdvisor challenges. There are about a dozen or 15 of them in the course. Let's see. We're going to go to, here's one on importing. You'll notice here it says that there's a ProAdvisor challenge. So if I scroll down to the bottom, then right here, take our ProAdvisor challenge. So basically it teaches you how to load the sample company, which is what I just described. They are actually, I think this is the test drive. I can't remember whether this is the client version or the accountant version. But anyway, and so then they give you a task, which is right here. So in this case, this is an importing task. Your client, Craig, has a customer list that he's asked you to import. And here's what you need to do. Okay, so they're going to give you they're giving you the file to import. Then they're checking how to check your work to make sure that you did it right. And then if you didn't do it right, you can check our solution. And then what's this having trouble? All right. And then I guess some key things to, look at. Okay. So those are the ProAdvisor challenges. Let me go back to this guy. Okay, so that's our ProAdvisor challenges. I would also invite you to join our QBO Gym Locker Room. This is a free Facebook group. So I have the link here. It's in that everything document. For those of you who are just joining us, everything I'm talking about is in that everything document. You don't need to take notes, and it's all there. So in the link in the description below, just grab that document and you'll be golden. You'll have all this information, all these links. Okay. So the QBO Gym Locker Room is a free Facebook group where I have posted a huge library of exercises. So let me pull that up for you. We're going to go here. Okay, so this is the admin view. There's no way for me to look at it as not the admin view, so it'll look slightly different for you. But anyway, what you're looking for is the QBO gym, and this is hands-on practice for accountants and bookkeepers. We call it the locker room because this is where we hang out after our workout. So we're going to do all of these exercises, and when you're inside the group, you'll notice that there is a tab here called Guides. Now, if you're on your phone, the guides, you have to click that there, and I should have grabbed a picture of this too, but I didn't. In the upper left-hand corner of the phone, there's like a little hamburger, and you like click that, and then you'll see guides. Okay, but if you're on your desktop, then you'll have guides here, and you'll see we just have tons and tons and tons of exercises. And I can't see it as the admin, but when you are doing these exercises, after you've done the exercise, then you have the option to mark it as complete. So you can do the exercise and then know, because I'm adding in here all the time more and more exercises. So then you can keep track of which ones you've done. All right, let me just show you real quick what an exercise looks like. So here we are. It tells you exactly how to start in the sample company. You have a scenario, and then you have all of the individual steps with pictures of what exactly you need to do. Okay, so here's that. All right, so that is more places for practice. We just want you to get as much hands-on practice in actually using QuickBooks Online, because that's what's going to grow your confidence level. That's what's going to help you feel like you really can go out and do this. So I'm posting exercises all the time in that group. We have a weekly live stream where I walk through the exercises and you can ask questions. We have a weekly vote, so you can vote on which exercises you want me to cover that week. And yeah, it's a good time. All right, so what else? Now, all right, so you have gone through the training. You've gotten that hands-on practice, and now you're going to take the test. So where do you go to take that test? All right, the answer is in your right in your QBOA account. Okay, so let's pull that up. All right, so here we are. This was in the training. I'm going to go back to, there's a number of ways I could get to it, but I'll just go back to training this way. All right, and remember these tabs right here. Product training is where we just were to learn about QuickBooks Online. There's other specialty courses you could learn about. If you're going to take the payroll test, then you have to take one of the specialty courses as well as the payroll training test that's under product training. But anyway, that's where we were, and now you're ready to take the test. And so now you're going to go to this tab right here, which is certification. Okay. And there are 3 certification tests currently available from Intuit. And these are product tests. Intuit does offer a bookkeeping test, a bookkeeping certification, but that's separate from QuickBooks Online. These tests right here are specifically for QuickBooks Online certifications. Okay, so the first one, this is the one that you're looking for. Again, it doesn't like my little highlighter. This is the one that you're looking for, the QuickBooks Online. And I don't want you to get confused. If you click self-paced, it looks like there's training here, but this is not really training. This is not the product training that you want in order to pass the test. There are some sample questions here. I have not yet reviewed the sample questions, so I can't say yes or no whether it's a really good sample test or not, but that's available. Regardless, when you come here, when you're ready to take the test, all you do is you click Take Exam, okay? You'll notice that the advanced certification and the payroll certification are locked. That's because in order to take those tests, you have to first pass your basic level certification, okay? So you're going to click Take Exam. And when you go in, you'll notice that for the basic level, there are 5 different sections, okay? So there's 5 tests to the sections, or 5 sections to the test, and let's talk about that some more. All right, so where do I find and take the test? I just showed you. The next question that comes up is, do I have to take the entire test in one sitting? The answer is, drumroll please, no. But you do have to finish one entire section in one sitting. Okay, so going back here, there's 5 sections. So once you start this section, then you need to finish that section. Then you can submit it and go and do something else. And you can take the next section the next day or the next month or 6 months later. It doesn't matter. Okay. So you're going to do one section in one sitting, and then take the rest of them, whenever works for you. Okay. All right. So then people want to know, is it timed? So the answer is no, but the test is not timed, but your login will time out. So what that means is the test itself, you can take as long as you want. But if you walk away from the screen and your login times out, then you may lose your test. So what we recommend that people do, and again, these instructions are in that everything document. So what you're going to do is you're going to click the gear icon, go to Company Settings, click Advanced, and then right down here, you can change your inactivity timeout. So the default timeout is 1 hour. And if you click anywhere inside this gray box, this is when it's highlighted, you click anywhere, then you can change it to 3 hours, and then you save it, and then you can be done. Oop, save it. Okay, then you can be done. All right. So we always recommend before you take the test that you change that inactivity timeout to 3 hours so that you have as long as possible. Again, the test itself is not timed. Let me put this other thing back on. The test itself is not timed, but your login will time out. So make sure that you take care of that. All right. Then, oh my gosh. Okay. This is one of the biggest things. Everyone takes the test. They do the section 1 test and they're like, where are my results? Where are my results? Where are my results? Okay. Listen to me carefully. Listen to me carefully. Okay. You do not get your results until you have submitted all sections of the test. Okay. So all sections of the test. Repeat with me. All sections of the test. Okay. You do not get individual section results at that time. You'll get individual scores, but not until you submit what? The entire test. So you're going to take the test. You're going to do one section and submit it. You're going to do another section and submit it. After you do all 5 or 6 if you're on payroll, you're going to do all of those sections. Then after you've submitted all of those sections, they'll say, okay, are you ready? Do you want your grade? And then you will say, yes, of course I want my grade. And you will submit the whole thing. And that's when you will get your results, and you'll get it instantly. It'll show you right there how well you did. Okay. But not until you submit the entire test. Let me say that again. Not until you submit the entire test. Oh my gosh, I can't tell you how many people ask that question. How many people say, I did my first section. When do I get my results? Okay. Hopefully I've hammered that in enough. Now, when you do get your results, it's going to show you your percentage for each section. and you must get at least 80% on each section in order to pass. Okay, so to pass, passing grade is at least 80% on each section. The number of questions in each section vary a little bit. So it's usually you can get 2 or 3 questions wrong and still pass, okay? Depending on the length of the test, math, right? So 80%, you have to have 80% in order to pass for each section. Now, if there is any section you don't pass, then they will tell you, they'll tell you, oops, you need to try it again, but they're not going to tell you which questions you missed. And this, oh my gosh, this is a bugger. Like, people hate this. Everyone wants to know, what question I missed? What question I missed? But I mean, I sort of understand from, a test design kind of perspective, like why they wouldn't tell you that, because then you could just go take the test again. And if you got that question again, you could just, I don't know. It's very frustrating for everybody. They don't tell you which questions you missed. They will, however, tell you which topics to brush up on. Oh, you are seeing this. Okay, good. They will tell you which topics to brush up on. And you can match that up with you can try and match that up with the training and go back and refresh that information. Okay. So what happens if you don't pass? And do you have to retake the whole thing? Okay. So the answer is, if you don't pass a single section, you can retake it 2 more times. So that's one of the nice things about having it in different sections is, let's say you pass 4 out of 5 and you only have that one section that's left, you can retake just that one section. And you do have 2 retakes. So a total of, you can take the test a total of 3 times to try and get it passed. If after those 3 total times you don't pass, I just said you only have to retake the ones you didn't pass. And if you fail 3 times, then you're going to be locked out from trying again for 60 days. So it'll tell you you're locked out, go back and study, and it'll tell you the date that you can come back and try again. Okay. All right. And then when you're unlocked after that 60 days, this is another question people ask, is you still only have to retake the sections you didn't pass. That wasn't always the case, but that is now the case. So if you get unlocked, or if you get locked, then you still only have to retake the one that you didn't pass. You don't have to take the whole thing over again. All right. So once you have your certification, how long is it good for? And the answer is, it depends. It depends, because certifications are seasonal. The season in which you get certified determines your recertification date. And the season runs from November through October. So I'm filming this right now in November. This is the very beginning of the 2023 season. Okay. So this test that is going to run until October of next year, anyone who gets certified in this season will not have to recertify until spring of 2024. Okay, so recertification opens in April of the following year and runs until June 30th. So you have to recertify within 30 years. I said 30 years. I meant, I got distracted because Lane posted, you won't need that many tries if you take fast and easy courses. Thank you, Lane. Anyway, but I got tongue-tied. Okay, so recertification opens in April of the following year and runs until June 30th. So that's how long you have until you have to recertify. So if you get your certification right now, then you won't have to recertify until spring of 2024, because this coming spring will be in the current season. All right, hopefully that makes sense. So when you recertify in the spring, do you have to take the entire test again? And the answer is no. Yay! You only need to test on the new material that has come out since you last took the test. Okay, so this is really nice of Intuit is they're going to put out a shorter test. You're going to find it in the same place as the regular tests. It's a shorter test, and it only covers the material that's new since you got certified. Okay, so that's nice. All right. And then this is another question that's interesting. People say, how will I know I need to recertify? So you're going to have to go into your account all the time and see what your date is and all that stuff. And the answer is Intuit will let you know. There will be lots of warning, and you will get several emails from Intuit. There's going to be a big banner inside of your QBOA account. You are not going to be able to miss it. So don't panic. Don't worry. You'll know if you need to recertify. All right. All right, so that's it. Now let's talk some additional specific tips for the exam. So what we just covered was everything about the whole process. Now let's focus just on the test itself, okay? All right, so first of all, you want to use your resources. It is an open book test. So it's an open book test, which means you can use all your available resources, including, so you can go back to the Intuit training. Okay, I recommend that you make an outline so that you know where to find things. Okay, so when we looked at it before, I'm not going to pull it up now, but when we looked at it before, you notice there were 8 modules, and then inside 8 modules, there's a number of lessons, and then in each lesson, there are different topics. So how are you going to find, if you get a question on something and you want to go find it, how are you going to find it? Well, I recommend that you make an outline so that you know where to find it. Also, test it in the sample company. Now, remember I said this very clearly, right? You can't have the sample company open and your test open at the same time. You'll get kicked out of your test. So that's why you need to test, like do a different browser or have it in an incognito window or something. Test it before you actually take the exam so you make sure you can do it. But having that sample company open is really handy because a lot of the questions are what I call keystroke questions, which are simply, where is this thing? How do you whatever? And, do you click the gear icon to get it, or do you click the plus new button to get it? Okay. Well, if you don't remember, you don't have to have the stuff memorized. It's an open book test. If you don't remember, go into the sample company and go into the sample company and test it. See, is it under the gear icon? No. Is it under the plus new icon? Yes. Okay. So that's how you can, do that. So test it in the sample company. Don't trust Google. Oh my gosh. So many people try and Google the answers. But here's the thing. If people are talking about the test questions, nobody knows the answer. So somebody might say, oh yeah, the answer is XYZ, but how do you know that that's the correct answer? Just because they said it, did they work for Intuit? Did they design the test? Like, how do they know that's actually the right answer? So don't trust Google. And absolutely, positively, 100% do not post in Facebook groups. Okay, so I put a big thing here. All right, I mentioned use all the resources available. You can use any resource you want except for another person. Okay, so you cannot discuss or even share the questions. You cannot talk about the questions to anyone, anywhere, in any setting at all. Okay, that is a violation of the code of conduct. And so you must find the answers yourselves. What that means is you don't share them in Facebook groups, and you do not email them to us. Okay, you don't contact me and say, hey, Margie, I got this question on the test. What's the answer? What do I do? Where do I find it? I can't even look at it. Okay, so it's It's a huge violation of the code of conduct. It's unethical. We do not discuss test questions. So what do you do if you're stuck? Well, if you have to ask somebody, ask about the concept, not the exact question. Okay, so get creative. What is it that you really want to find out? Okay, so just be very careful. Nobody here wants to lose their ProAdvisor status. I spent the whole 15 minutes of this video talking about how awesome having a ProAdvisor certification is. We don't want to jeopardize it. We don't want them to pull it from us. So play by the rules, do the right thing, and don't discuss the actual test questions. All right. Now, I mentioned previously that you have three tries to take the exam and pass. Okay. Those three tries are only if you submit the exam. Now, you can, while you're taking the test, if you're taking the test and you just like feel overwhelmed, or a leak happens in your roof, okay, or your mother-in-law calls, right? Whatever, you're taking the test and something happens or the power goes out, right? Whatever, something happens, that does not count as one of your three tries, okay? Your three tries are only if you submit that exam, okay? So at the end of the test, you're going to go through all the questions. Then you're going to review the questions. Are you sure? Are you sure those are the answers? And you're going to click a little button that says submit. Until you click that button that says submit, it does not count as one of your tries. So if the power goes out, or if you accidentally load the sample company, or if you could just close the window, and that's not going to count. Also, inside, while you are taking the exam, I just said that you can leave the exam at any time. I said that your progress is not going to be saved. Well, I guess I didn't say your progress will not be saved. So you're going to lose that try, right? But you're not going to be penalized. It doesn't count. It's fine. It's fine. It's not counted as one of your three tries. So if you just close the window, log out, whatever, that's fine. One more thing I wanted to say is that when you take the test again, you're likely going to get different questions. So they do have the question. So when you go in and take the test, those questions are like from a question bank. And so, they pull from a bank of questions. So the next time you take the test, it's not necessarily going to be the same. But that's okay, right? It's fine. It's just the important thing is that you're not penalized. So when you're inside the exam, so this is the slide I'm looking for. So when you're inside the exam, there is a little button that says leave exam. And if you leave exam, click that button, it'll give you a warning message. It'll say, hey, your progress has not been saved. Are you sure you want to leave? And you can say, yes, I'm sure I want to leave. And that's not going to count as one of your tries. Okay. So don't worry about that. You can close the window, you could log out, whatever. Okay. All right. So that is leaving the exam. Now, when you take the test, there are three question types. The first type, I just said that there's three question types. The first type is a radio button. A radio button, you're probably familiar with these, means there's only one correct answer. Those are pretty easy. All right. The next type of question is a drop down. So a drop down means you select from a list of answers. Here is a tip for those drop downs. Let's say you use the drop down and you notice that you accidentally selected the wrong thing. In order to clear your answers from a drop down, you have to reset the question. This is not entirely obvious. So let me show you what this looks like. So here's a question. Obviously, I blacked it all out. And you have your, my highlighter doesn't work on this screen. I don't think you can see that. And anyway, so here's a question, and there's a drop down so there it says choose match. And if you do the wrong thing, then you have to select that reset answers button in order to like reset those drop downs. Again, not entirely obvious that that's the case, so I wanted to point it out. All right, finally, we have checkboxes. Now, listen, guys. All right. If there is nothing in this entire webinar that you remember, nothing in this entire thing that you remember, I want you to remember what I am about to tell you about the checkboxes. This is so important, guys. Like, I cannot emphasize to you how important this is. So please pay attention super carefully. I know we're over an hour into this thing, but like this is really, really, really important. Okay. For the checkboxes, okay, that means that there's multiple correct answers and they do not prevent you from having the wrong number of answers. Okay. I'm going to show you why this is so important. You have to pay attention, guys. Seriously, this is going to change your life. Like this could mean the difference between you passing the test and not passing the test if you understand this. Okay. All right. So here is a question. Okay. And it says, and this is a checkbox question. It says, what two types of blah, blah, blah. Okay. Notice it says what two types. Okay. So that means there are two correct answers. You have to check both correct answers. There's no partial credit. You're either going to get this question right or you're going to get it wrong. Okay. So when I first go into the question, this little button says, this is the next button that takes you through the test. It is gray. Okay. It's gray. It means you have to answer this question. You can't go on until you have answered this question. As soon as you check one box, that next button turns green. What does this mean? This means that you could answer only one thing and go on to the next question. That means that you could accidentally forget to check both things and go on to the next question. You could also check three things and go on to the next question, even though they are only asking you for two, right? Do I have an arrow? Yeah. The green button is not logical as to how many answers you need. Okay, pay attention. Pay attention. Pay attention. When you are taking your test, make sure that you have the right number of checks for what they are asking for. In this question, they're saying what two types of, okay? It may be what three types of, like whatever. If there is a number and you have to check them, reread, double read, triple read the question to make sure you have the right number of check marks. I can't tell you how many people, this tiny, tiny little thing, like I said, it could be the difference between you passing and failing. Just this little tiny mistake. So, oh my gosh. Okay, hopefully I have made it clear, my brain to your brain, to check that. All right, so that is all about the test. Let me tell you how you can get some help. All right, I mentioned in the beginning that most people are talking to me because they are frustrated with the free Intuit training. It's such a blessing, guys. It's such a blessing that Intuit gives us all of this free training, but it can be overwhelming because there is so much information there. As you saw in the beginning, people are just frustrated. So if that's you, if you're overwhelmed by the volume of things that you have to learn, or if you are confused and you just can't wrap your head around some of the concepts, or if you're finding the training too long, it's just taking you hours and hours and hours to get through. It shouldn't take you that long. But if you're, I mentioned I'm not I guess maybe I didn't say, but I'm not a good reader. I don't learn well from reading. And so, oh my gosh, that one comment in the beginning where she was like, I have to reread it over and over. That's me, guys. That's me. So if you're finding it too long and boring, if you don't, here's what I just said. If you don't learn well from reading, which is me, and you prefer video-based hands-on practice, if you want a teacher, not a textbook, and if English is your second language, here, let me hide this, or put this one up because my face is hiding up. If English is your second language, which, makes everything harder bless you, if you came here to this country and are just trying to figure this out, like, I just think you're amazing. Or if you have severe test anxiety or just don't test well, then I would encourage you to reach out and check out our Fast and Easy QBO courses, because this is what we do. This is what we do. We make all of that awful, boring, long, tedious, confusing information. We turn it into something that's just fast, easy, fun, engaging. You'll love it. You can visit us at www.fastandeasyqbo.com. All of our courses are fast. Here, let me put this so you can see it better. They're fast. Each section takes about 45 minutes to an hour. You can be certified in a weekend, and many people do. It's easy. You just watch the videos, do the interactive exercises, and take the test. It's that simple. It's crystal clear. It has graphics, easy explanations, the exact terms you're expected to know for the test, and it is guaranteed. If you complete all the material, do all the homework, and still don't pass, we will give you your money back. All right. And honestly, maybe in 4 years that I've been doing this, I had to do that twice. But that's how sure we are of our courses. So here's what some people are saying about us. Heather said, this course was fantastic and definitely worth the investment. I had difficulty keeping all the Intuit training organized, and I felt like it was all over the place. This course, she's referring to my course, is very organized and concise. I found it incredibly helpful to understand and follow. I felt confident with each test section. Thank you for this course, Margie. I look forward to taking the advanced. Kurt said, the training provided within Intuit was overwhelming. Talk about information overload. Fast and Easy QBO was concise and allowed me to focus on what was needed for each section. I found the hands-on practice very helpful and passed on the first try. Michael, I love this one. Michael said, I went through Intuit's advanced training more than once and only got lost. Your training is pure magic. Trevor said, excellent study guide for learning QBO and passing the basic exam. I got the course on Friday, started on Sunday, finished on Monday, 100% on all sections. So much more straightforward than Intuit's materials. Thank you very much. And my all-time favorite review ever was Tyler, who said, I just love this so much, guys. He said, I struggled with QBO certification on my own. Things were not clicking with me, and I felt I was in over my head. Then swoops in Margie like a Valkyrie. I'm a Valkyrie, guys, to save the day. She breaks down everything perfectly and gives you notes, examples, worksheets, and more. I dare you to fail with her help. Thank you so much, Margie. All right, so check out our Fast and Easy QBO courses, fastandeasyqbo.com. Of course, everything I've talked about today is available in that free document I mentioned. That's also linked down below, which is fastandeasyqbo.com/everything. You can grab everything that I brain dumped today. You can get it in that document. And of course, if you need to reach out to us, if you need any help, then you can email support@fastandeasyqbo.com. We always get back to you within 24 hours, and we are happy to help you along the journey. I cannot wait to hear your success story. With that, let me hop over and see if there were any questions. I was about to sign off, and then I just realized that I'm doing this live. This is the first time I've done this live, guys. Usually I record it. All right, let's see who had questions. Dun, 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 dun. I told you that I would probably answer all of your questions because that was like my big brain dump. So anyway, so somebody says, Manzoor says that he or she is from India. Is it possible for me to go through the QBO certification program? I believe that there is a certification program in India. I don't know anything about it. I do seem to recall that the QBOA, the accountant version, is not free in India. It's free in the US. It's not free in India. But that's all that I know about it. So sorry, I can't be more helpful. Somebody failed twice. He's going to stop and get my course. Yay. It's going to totally make a difference. I have a question. Can you use 2 different computers to take the exam? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I assume that you're asking if you can like be in the exam in one and be in the test or in the sample company in the other. I don't know. Test it. That's why I say test it. I'm not a technical guru. I don't know how these things work. I don't know what cookies are where, how they track whether you're logged in. I don't know. Test it. Just be in your account. You don't have to open the test, but you'll know if you get logged out of your account. So just be in and then see, and then be in the other one and open up the sample company. See what happens. I don't know. Test it. That's what I recommend. All right. If you purchase the Fast and Easy course, how long do you have access to it? Right now, forever. Right now, it's forever. We may change that in the future, but it's forever. It's definitely until the end of the season. There's no question whether we're going to, you purchase it now, you have it at least until October of next year, because that's the current season that we're in. Whether you don't get around to it and have to take it next year, then right now, that is the case for all of our students. So all of our students that purchased it last year, they're going to get this year's version. So that's always been the case, but I can't say that that's always going to be the case. We might at some point cut off people if they hold on to the course for 2 years and never do it, never get their certification. We may take it away. I don't know. Let's see. Lane or Laney, I don't know how you pronounce it, says that he or she used 2 computers during the test. So to the person that asked that previously, maybe you can. I mean, I definitely use a computer and a monitor. Like, I highly recommend that, but that's different than having 2 computers. So I have known some people like do it on a laptop and then maybe have the sample company on their iPad or whatever. But again, I don't know technology, guys. All I know is QuickBooks Online. So I know QuickBooks Online and I know the ProAdvisor certification test. That's my area of expertise. All right. Any other questions before we sign off? All right. I don't see any questions because I did a brain dump and gave you everything you ever wanted to know about QuickBooks Online ProAdvisor certification. So I am going to, let's see, put this picture back up. How do I do that? There we go. And tell you again, I can't wait to hear your success. So I can't wait to hear your success story. And do reach out if you have any questions. I will talk to you later. Have a fantastic day.